Tania, thanks very much for joining us. In terms of the overall trends, the sort of mega trends influencing the markets, how are you seeing changes post pandemic and also that bigger focus on ESG particularly?
And I think overall the trends that we see were just accelerated by the pandemic. Like all of these trends were existent even before, like digitalization, if you think, also decarbonisation, they were all parts of the agenda even before the pandemic. But now that, like we went through such a like severe crisis in our lives, so we saw a lot more demand, for instance, for working remotely, and that's going to obviously pose some uncertainties in terms of how many people will work from home, how many commuters we're going to see, as well as the overall business travel. But I do think that digitalization as well as decarbonization are opportunities as well for transportation infrastructure. And we're going to see, I think, permanent cost savings because of digital technologies. I also think that decarbonization or sustainable transport is definitely moving in the spotlight, and it's going to be an area, like where we actually build back better. We're going to see a better, I think, green sustainable transport investments flowing in.
A lot of focus at the moment on sustainability. How's that playing out in terms of the infrastructure markets? And I suppose where are you seeing the opportunities and challenges there?
Yeah, so I think it's a quite broad question, but I'll try to circle it into probably one of the topics that I think will move into the spotlight. I think that's sustainable transport. And the reason why I think sustainable transport will be probably at the forefront of the decarbonization efforts is because emissions have been rising over time in the sector, and it is also very hard to decarbonize in some of the subsectors. So obviously, I think there's a lot going on at the moment with electric vehicles coming in, the rollout, and also we are seeing a lot more electrification of the rail. But I think that these opportunities should grow exponentially. I think the International Energy Agency is forecasting that more than 80% of all vehicles should be electric by 2050. So you see that, like it's a long journey ahead of us. And I definitely kind of see opportunities in terms of electric vehicle infrastructure on the charging side, as well as batteries, etc. And longer term, I think probably, well, in more the medium to long term, we're definitely going to see a lot more emphasis and use of biofuels as well as green hydrogen.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I think that discussion around where we're moving ahead in terms of transportation, as well as mobility within cities and those alternative fuels. Thanks very much for joining us, Tanya.
Thank you.